So for the adults, we've been, the children that come to Faith Formation, some of them, we get to do some singing in the morning, which is a lot of fun. But this is a different song that I haven't taught you yet. It's really simple. It goes like this. There's no hand motions, just words that are very important. It says, I am the church. You are the church. We are the church together. Can you sing that much with me? I am the church. You are the church. We are the church together. And the rest of the song goes, all of God's children all around the world. Yes, we're the church together. To that part, all of God's children all around the world. Yes, we're the church together. So let's put it together. I am the church. You are the church. We are the church together. All of God's children all around the world. Yes, we're the church together. I don't know if you ever thought about it, but right now, there are lots of people in church. They're not here in our church. My brother, for example, right now, he's in a little tiny church not too far from here, but is about 80 people probably in his church. Probably not as many as you up here. It's a kind of a small church, but they're together and they're worshiping the Lord. And then, of course, there's the church just right next door to us over here. And then as you drive along, you see all sorts of churches. And most of those churches get together on Sunday morning just like we do. And it's important that, yeah, we disagree about some things, but they're still part of the church. We're all the church together. So in your school, you know, you're talking to some of your kids, some of your friends, there's a good chance they went to church this morning too, and they're part of the church, just like you're part of the church. Isn't that amazing? We are all in the church together. Okay? That is the big point you got to remember, all right? Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate you. And it is the point I would like the adults to remember. We are the church. Allow me a couple stories to illustrate. It was in the first reading, Eldad and Medad. They weren't where they were supposed to be. They were part of 70 people that had been chosen to help Moses. And they were supposed to go to this ceremony. They were going to go to the ceremony. God was going to put his spirit on the 70 elders. And indeed, that's what happened. 68 of them went to the service, and God put their spirit on these people to help them serve, to help them aid Moses. And they prophesy. And I guess it's hard to know exactly, probably what it meant was they were in a very demonstrative way, praising God. Maybe even preaching, maybe singing, who knows. But everybody there could tell it was God's Spirit that had come on these people. But Eldad and Medad, they didn't go to the service like they were supposed to. But still, God's Spirit came on them anyway, in the camp where everybody else was. And if you heard the story, somebody comes running to Moses and says, hey, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Joshua, Moses' assistant, says to Moses, you need to shut that down. Tell them to stop. And Moses is, no, I wish everybody could prophesy like this. I wish God's Spirit was on everybody. We don't have to get caught up in the fact that, oh no, they're not part of us. They didn't come to the service. That doesn't matter. You may have noticed something similar in the gospel story in the beginning of that. John says to Jesus, hey, we saw somebody over there and he was casting out demons in your name, but he's not part of us. And we told him he had to stop. And Jesus was like, no, he's doing a good thing. If he's casting out demons, that's a wonderful thing. If he's doing a good work in my name, let him do it. That's just terrific. Let him do it. Not too many years ago, I guess, 15 years ago, something like that, when I was in seminary, I needed to attend these seminarian convocations. They happened at the beginning of August for 3-4 days, and they would get different priests and people to come in and talk to us. It was a little retreat, little teaching, sort of to help us in our formation. The place where we were was very near a large Protestant evangelist church, kind of a mega church. And the week we were there, this church, not too far away, was holding Vacation Bible School, a very big affair. And included in their Vacation Bible School was this huge bouncy house in the parking lot and an equally big blow-up slide they had rented for the kids. One of the talks that we heard that year, a priest was encouraging us, as he put it, stay close to the Eucharist, which was, of course, wonderful advice to us. He wanted to make sure that in our prayer lives we were devoting some time to prayer, especially in front of the Blessed Sacrament as we were preparing and studying for the priesthood. But then he went on to say something that I'll never forget. He said, if you don't stay close to the Eucharist, what you'll end up with is bouncy houses in your parking lot. Now, in fairness to the priest who said that, I think I know where his heart was, but what he said was pretty awkward, and it sounded a lot like John in the gospel story. Because what the priest didn't realize was that church had so many children coming to that Vacation Bible School, they had to hire a policeman to direct traffic when the parents came to pick them up. And that indeed, that was the estimate given to me by one of the assistant pastors who I knew at that church. Half of the people that attended that congregation were baptized Catholic. In essence, what this priest didn't realize was this church, certainly we wouldn't agree with them about communion and Eucharist, I get that, but that church was shepherding people that had left us. They were taking care of our sheep. And as much as we would like to take care of our own, there was a part of me thinking we really should celebrate these people because they're doing something that's, for whatever reason, we were unable to do. I can't imagine that a whole lot of you would know, but tomorrow, October 1st, will be the first day of the second session of the Synod on Synodality. You have to be kind of tied into church world to know any of what all that meant. But some of you will remember, about 2-3 years ago, the Pope Francis put out this call. He said he wanted to have a discernment about the church. Where is the Catholic Church? Where are we? Where are we going? What is the Lord calling us to do? But rather than do it in a sort of a traditional way, where he would just get some bishops together and they would talk about it, Pope Francis wanted it to come from you. And so every diocese in the whole world tried to arrange ways by which to get the laity to talk, to discern. And as I understand it, there were a couple of those sessions done here. I know we did them in my last parish, and all those, the discussions and all that stuff, we summarized it, sent it to the diocese. The diocese summarized the whole diocesan input and sent it to the USCCB bishops. They summarized it and sent it on, and it worked its way up. And a year ago, several hundred people got together to talk about this, to discern, to see, well, what is the Lord led us into? That sort of thing. Not everybody was happy about this. I got in the mail, it was about this time last year, this little book called The Synodal Process is a Pandora's Box. If you read it, in fairness to the authors, they got some good points in it. But for the most part, they're just like John. They're just like John. They're just like Joshua. They're like, this isn't right. This isn't right. This is not what we normally do. Everybody needs to be in our group. They didn't like the idea that the church would ask lay people, where are we going? Where is the Lord calling us? They didn't like that. They wanted control. They wanted control. They wanted it's the Pope and then the bishops. That's where we're going to keep it all under control. And then by doing that, we'll make sure everything's fine. If you think about it, if you're running an army, that's a great idea. It's really helpful in an army. You got one person in charge and bunches of other people, and you give orders, and everybody follows orders exactly as they are told. It goes nicely down. Some of you might be old enough to remember, say back in the 50s in the United States, there was this little adage that Catholics should pray, pay, and obey. That was your job. That was your job, because it was the priests and the bishops that were going to tell you what to pray about and what and of course you had to pay for everything. But now the church is more, no, maybe that's not what's going on. You are a part of the church. That's the point of that little song. That's not just a cute little song for kids. It's true. I'm the church. You're the church. You are the church. You're part of it. And indeed, we would love it would be great if everybody, all the different Christian variations, if we were all together, if we were all united in lots of important questions. We're not. I appreciate that. And maybe there's something to be done about that. But it doesn't make any difference. We're still the church. We are still the church, and we can make a difference in the world. There are, something like 1.2 billion Catholics and another billion other denominations of Christianity. That's like a third of the population. If all of us, in our own little way, we were disciples of Christ, imperfectly, of course, but we follow, we do what we can, we would make a huge difference. Anybody that knows any history, you would know the church has made a difference. It's still making a difference, and we are part of that. If you ever think of yourself as being a little insignificant, nobody cares about me, I'm just a nobody, just remind yourself, sing that little song. You are the church. You're part of this amazing thing that the Lord has given us. You are the church.